Hi, everybody. Celia Waterhouse here. Thank you for joining us at OnPoint Mentors, our panel discussion this month. The topic we've chosen for February, being Valentine's month, right, is love in the time of COVID. What does a healthy relationship look like? And leading us and moderating us through this topic will be Ilze Alberts. Ilze is a psychologist, a life strategist, an author, a speaker, a television presenter, and a blogger, helping people to overcome personal challenges through the application of a breakthrough mental mind model and approach. She's also the anchor psychologist on a show in South Africa called Saving Our Marriage, which is why she's the perfect person to lead us through this discussion. Welcome, Ilze. And welcome, everybody. Before we turn it over to you, Ilze, I want everybody to introduce yourselves, tell us why you're interested in this topic in particular and your expertise and how you help people. So whoever wants to start, go ahead.
Alison, you want to go first since we'll go alphabetically? Okay.
Sure. My name is Alison Davies. I'm a transformational trainer, a coach, a speaker, an author. Now that we got the alphabet soup out, I really, my passion is empowering women to love themselves again by letting go of all those negative stories that are holding them back from being who they are meant to be and who they desire to be. And with that, of course, relationships come on board, and having that healthy relationship with self and others is really the key to, authentic happiness and joy and passion. So that's really what it's all about.
Nice. I'm Linda Stzanko. I am an ordained minister and a Christian coach and mentor with a specialty in self-esteem and confidence building. I work with individuals, groups, organizations, and other professionals who want to take whatever it is that they need to go to that next level. They could be having different things going on with relationships. It could be in their business. It could be relationship to themselves. What I loved about this topic, and I was really excited, Celia, when you had put it out, was that relationships is what drives everything we do in life, whether it is relationship with ourselves or relationship with somebody else or, friends, colleagues, family, partners. Everything we do, we're interacting with somebody else. So understanding how to do that in a healthy way is what really got me excited about being on the panel today.
Great. That is so wonderful to have you all here with us. And I like it that we are female power tonight. Not that it means that men are not into relationships, but it's over to us, the women tonight here from the different parts of the world. And I want to start with the first question. I want you to tell which book have you read that had really a big impact on you about relationships. So I'm asking actually about two books. First, a book that you've read that had really a big impact on you about relationships in general. And then what was a book that you've read about a relationship with yourself that really had a big impact on you? I will start by saying that a book that I read many, many years ago when I was still in my formative years as a psychologist was Harville Hendricks' book, Getting the Love That You Want. It's all based on the Imago principle. But when I read that book, it was like a light switch came on for me, and I understood so much more about relationships. And a book that really helped me to form a very different relationship with myself was Napoleon Hill's book, Not Think and Grow Rich. Yes, that was definitely an influential book for me as well, but The Laws of Successful People, because I realized how powerful we are and how to ignite that power. So it changed my relationship that I had with myself. Alison, what is a book that had a big impact on you around relationships and then secondly, around relationships with yourself?
Yeah, that is a really great question. And, I really got stumped of which, because there's been so many that I've taken and just really internalized. And so I'm a trainer in neurolinguistic programming, hypnotherapy, and timeline therapy. And that was really, I embarked on that 5 years ago. And I remember I went into going into neurolinguistic programming so that I can communicate better with clients as I was doing nutrition at that time and really open it up. And it really unlocked more. I went in about to have better communication skills with others, but it opened up the communication that I was having with myself. And understanding when I reflect of how I'm talking to myself first, then that energetically affects how I position myself, how confident I am, how I have higher standards for myself, which then I transfer and relate into my relationships. And that, I would say, has made a huge difference in all of my relationships, because now I'm not coming in from how does that affect me to more of an empathy of where they're at. And if I'm not liking their behavior, what am I doing? What is my responsibility? So that it always comes back. And I understand that perception is projection. So that has been an elevated thing. And it has definitely increased my relationship with my husband since doing that. So yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you, Alison. And Linda, for you?
So the two books that come to mind, there's actually three, but oh my God, the title of the one is escaping me. And I know that you guys will know it. It's the one that was Viktor Frankl's book.
Man's Search for Meaning.
Thank you. We actually, I read that probably in my late teens in school. And that one had a huge impact on me because I'm a seeker all the time. And what I liked about that was the relationship with self. In the difficulties that he was going through, he really had to stay focused on making sure that he came out of everything in a healthy way. So that was a huge one for me. But the two that come to mind, we had discussed it at another time earlier, is Love in the Time of Cholera. So from an entertainment perspective, that had a big effect on me, Love in the Time of Cholera, only because that love, it's ever evolving. And even though you may lose loves in your life, if it is meant to be, it will come back, just like the saying says. If you love something, let it go. If it's meant to be, it's going to come back to you. But it was just so beautifully written, and it's one of my all-time favorite books. And then on more of a faith side, because of what I do, I love The Love Revolution from Joyce Myers. It is one of the most underread, but one of the most profound books that she has ever written. And it really inspired me, and it inspired me of where I am and what my faith philosophy is. And as you know, those of you who know me really well, it's all about a love walk. I truly believe that you have to have a love walk, whether, again, it's with yourself or somebody else in your life. So the Love Revolution had an incredible impact on me.
Well, Linda, I am for sure going to read that. I have not read it yet. And it so reminds me of a book that I think most people know about or have done some research around or have even read, and that's the 5 Love Languages.
Yes.
And there is not a couple that I have worked with that has not said to me, my love language is that, and he does not know that, and so I have. It has been a very influential book and helped people in a very pop psychology way to understand more about what is of importance to another person. But it's quite limiting because there are many more things. But I thought that book made a lot of sense for the general public in helping to understand. We all have a way that we speak and want to be loved. And we speak that language and we want that being done back to us. But I want to talk to you about the thing that you have all mentioned now. And that is how important it is to have a relationship first with ourselves. I believe the biggest gift I can give my husband, my children, my loved ones is my own personal development. That is my gift to them. Of course, to myself equally, but that is an investment I make not only in myself, but in every relationship that I have. So, Alison, I will first ask you, what do you think the value is of your own development, your own self-growth, your own empowerment in regards to the relationships that you have? And then, Linda, please, over to you then after that.
It has been huge, because before I started on my personal development, I was that people pleaser, perfectionist. Everything had to appear a certain way. I give. And I would say I didn't have time for myself. I was too tired. But in all honesty, I didn't value myself to give time for myself. And really, when I shifted that, I realized that I'm modeling now to my kids that taking self-care is important. It's not about everyone else. It's to stop and slow down for yourself. And I think there's a difference too between self-care and self-love. We can do the motions of self-care, which can impact your self-love. But then we feel like we're doing self-love, but by doing those things, which are important, but it's letting go of all that story that I had, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't worthy. Why would anyone want to listen to me? Like, these were all the things that kept going through my head. So when I finally let that go, then I could really give 100% of me to my family. When I fill my cup, or, like I often say to a lot of my students is, plug in my phone and charge it up. I do the same with me so that I can give, because we can't expect our phone to keep working if it died. And yet we expect ourselves to do that. So my family, my relationships, by me taking the time for me, I can be fully present with them now. Not everywhere and yet nowhere. Really,
that is so true, and I love it. And my curiosity is, please tell us, how do you take care of yourself? Because that is a question that so many women ask me. What does it mean? What does it mean for me to take care of myself? So maybe just expand a little bit, Alison. How do you do it, or how do you guide the women that you work with to do that?
Yeah, and for those that don't know, I have a special abilities daughter too. So I was really wrapped up in poor me story, grieving story. I'll be completely honest. She's an extreme gift, but it didn't start off that way. Like, let's be real for a second here. It didn't start off that way. And I have my moments that it's not that way, because we're human. And it was really wrapping myself around her all the time. And some of the things that I have done, yes, I've started exercising consistently, doing the nutrition, eating well, because I do notice a difference how I feel when I do. But it's really, when those negative thoughts come in, it's really analyzing and being that interrogator back at yourself. Is that true? Is there a time where that wasn't true? Could you really let that go and really be the interrogator of, well, if that wasn't true, what else could happen? And once you start to poke holes into that story, a lot of the time you're like, yeah, it's not serving me. And I say letting those go, and the baggage from my past that doesn't let me stand up with pride and confidence is really, really the key. And there's a couple of techniques and things that I do with a lot of my clients and teach my students how to do, so that people can release it easily and effortlessly, because we always think it's going to be hard. Something that's so big, it must be hard to be in you. right? I mean, I went in thinking that way. And then I remember the first year doing all the techniques with people, and I'm like, wow, that is so cool. That it was so easy. And yet I'm doing it and I'm teaching it, and I'd still be like, that was so cool. So it's really, there's amazing ways to let it go without reliving everything. And it's stepping into who you are. Because every time you say no, or you stand and confidently, you're taking your power back. And
of course.
so much in my life, I was giving it away, and now I'm taking it back. And power does not mean, aggressive or assertive or any of that. Power is calm and grounded and centered and aligned. And that's what I get excited, really excited about, helping other women do that. But more importantly, helping me do that, because it can be addictive.
Thank you so much, Alison. Very inspiring. And Linda, over to you.
Well, so on the first point, what I think about being that person for my family. Now, my kids are older, so they're not at home anymore. So I find that a lot of things have changed. I did a lot of them. My kids used to say to me all the time, it was my job to do things. And I would say to them, it's actually not my job to do this, but my job is to make sure that you're a self-sufficient adult when you leave this house. And that's why I'm teaching you, to cook and to clean and to take care of yourself and all of that. So I think that's really important. I also think it's really important for self-care because, or even the self-love, like a lot of the people that I've been working with lately, they're really stressed about making sure that their children have a social outlet with everything that's going on with COVID right now. And feeling that they are not being able to be healthy enough for their children. I want, some of their goals are, I want my children to be more social. I want my children to, their focus is very much on their children, which is typical of most, I would say for sure moms, and I'm not excluding men out there, dads are the same, but primarily in a two-person household, it is the mom who tends to be more of the nurturer, more of the one to make sure that this stuff is taken care of. And some people are just struggling with that right now. And I think, I was actually working with a client last week, and, one of her biggest goals is to make sure that this happens for her children. And yet she doesn't do that for herself. She's very shy. She's very self-reserved. She's, she wants everything that she would like to see in herself, she would like to see for her children. So for me, with working with people, it's building those strategies to make that happen. And for some people who are really, have some self-esteem issues and some self-confidence issues, it's about pushing them a little bit further and taking them out of their comfort zone with baby steps. Because sometimes I think if I come in too quickly, I know how to make it go away, but they're not ready for that. So we have to do some work first. And it was interesting because it was such an aha moment for this woman, because I said, one of the goals I had given her was she had to make a plan to spend some time with some people. And when she did that, she said, I felt so happy. And, her goals on her plan were, the goals she wanted to achieve was to have a better relationship, to have more self-confidence, to be happy, to have her family be happy. And she wanted more ways on how she could do this. And I said, so this is something that you need to continue because it made you happy. And the part that was negative for her was, she said, she was angry at herself that she hadn't done this sooner. I said, so you've given yourself two incredible validations right there. One, you gave yourself joy. And one, you realize that you're not doing it enough. So that has become a major on her to-do list, on her tasks that she needs to do, is to do more of that. And and then just reaffirming to her that it's so important, because you're now setting a standard, and your kids will model what they see. they're seeing you be very shy. They're seeing you not being very social. So they're going to do what you are modeling for them to do, not what you tell them to do, but what they see you do, because your actions speak so much louder than words. For children, it was be seen and not heard, or do as I say and not as I do. Well, in today's world, we are much more relaxed in some of our teachings and nurturing our kids, that we want them to be engaged in the conversation. Well, we have to show them how to have that conversation and how to relate to other people in order to do that. So self-care is super, super important. Some of the things that I've been doing for myself, I've really taken it to, to talk about what Alison was saying, is to slow down and make time for myself. I cannot, we are so go, go, go. We're so busy for this and busy for that, that we get to the point that we're so busy to even not only take the time to reach out and have those relationships with somebody else, but we're not even doing it with ourselves. So I've gotten myself into a practice now where, the morning routine is, taking that time. For me, it's very important that I spend my time in my faith and my time with God. So whatever that may be, whether it's through some meditation, whether it's reading Bible, whether it's reading something else, doing a daily devotion, something, doing the gratitude. I have a gratitude journal, taking time out to do that. That's really important to me. And I like to make sure that I take time through the day. So one of my rules now is I reach out to somebody every single day. So 3 times a week, I have a half an hour coffee chat with a friend, not about business, not about work, I want to know what's going on in your life. Let's stay connected. We have to work and put effort into doing that if we want that to continue. And then in the evening, now it's going to bed with putting the thoughts in my head that I want to continue in a healthy and positive way. So I started, I got myself a Bluetooth sleeping mask. And I wear that when I go to bed. But this is what I do for my own self-care. And I put on a meditation of some kind or a sleep hypnosis that has a specific goal that I want to achieve, whether it be, being more mindful of eating, being more mindful to reach out to other people, being more mindful to take time for myself. And I find that has been making a huge difference. And the other piece is getting enough sleep. I'm making sure that, I was one of these people. I tend to be more creative for work in the evenings. So really my creativity would start flowing at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, or a thought would come into my head. And now all of a sudden I've got all of this information because I'm in my downtime and my brain actually has the time to let other things out because I'm not go. And I would start working at 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night and sometimes be up till 4 or 5 in the morning because the creativity was flowing so much. I'm reversing that. I have to consciously reverse that. I'm going to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock now. The TV is off. I take a half an hour to do some reading of whatever it is that I choose to do. That is my time, so I can choose. If I want to delve into a great romance novel, that's my choice. If I want to do something for work or work on my faith, that's my choice. But that's my half hour, 45 minutes to me, and then I do the meditation to go to sleep. So I am asleep by 10 o'clock. And it's interesting because now I'm waking up at 5, 6 o'clock with enough sleep without an alarm, and I'm raring to go, and my creativity is starting to reverse.
Well, Linda, I absolutely believe equally in the power of sleep as a form of caring for myself. But I want to just shift our attention for a moment now to the relationship that we have with others. And I had a conversation with my husband today, and I said to him, since we have been in lockdown and working in our different offices, but in the same home, I say, you know what I miss? That we don't send those messages to each other anymore. Oh, I miss you. I'm thinking of you. Just want to let you know I love you, because we are under the same roof more times now than not. And I said to him, I'm equally guilty of that. I'm not pointing any finger. But I became so aware of the needs that people are expressing in their relationships, because now that the TV series Saving Our Marriage, and by the way, it is on YouTube. Season 1 was in 2018, and there were 13 episodes, and I work with couples in reality on TV. And now it's season 2 of Saving Our Marriage. And what is just hitting me so in the face again is how easy it is to point a finger. And how easy to say it's my partner that's making me unhappy. I spoke to a woman, and I get inundated with phone calls now because people watch the show and they get to me because they find a way to speak to me, and then I hear the stories. He's not touching me. She's not giving me sex, and the fingers are just pointing the whole time, and I am wanting to scream out and say, but look, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. What are you doing to co-create this situation in your relationship? What are you doing to bring a change in your relationship? Because if you want to see a change in the relationship, whether it's with your partner, with your child, with a friend, with a colleague, it starts with you. As long as you wait for the other person to change, it's a fantasy, and you will wait forever. And you will create the nightmares in your life because of the fantasy that someone else will do the change. So I believe in the value of being honest and open and communicating in a relationship. But there are very few people that know how to communicate, because they think communication is, I'm telling you what you are doing wrong. So let's talk about an effective way to communicate to another human being that we're in a relationship with, of what our needs are, our expectations are, without giving the message, I want you to change, and I want to be the recipient of this wonderful miracle of your change. Let's talk about effective ways of communicating in the relationships.
Yeah, I often reflect. If I've been with my husband now, I was just doing the math, 30 years. And to put as much effort, if you were dating, if you did just 1/5 of that with your current relationship, what a difference that would make. And it's really understanding, like you mentioned the love languages before, and it's the way we communicate and show that we really care. And it's really stepping back and go, okay, what is my communication? How do I like to be shown or told, or do I need to hear how I'm doing, or that love connection? And then take it one step further, because it's not just about you. What do they like to do? So my husband does not, often tell me that I'm doing a great job, and I like to hear that.
Yeah.
And yet he's more of that kinesthetic touch, and he wants to hug and just hold hands or any of that. And so then that is his way of showing the same thing. So it's a matter of understanding what your language is, what is your partner's, and then saying, not in the heated moment, of course, I really like it when you say this to me. It makes me feel valued or loved or appreciated. And I would not say that we started off a relationship like that. I can guarantee you. And it was, I was a people pleaser. So I was like, okay, if you don't like me, what am I doing wrong? When really it's just a different form of communication. So understanding, what your love language, but it's just how you communicate. Are you more visual? Are you more auditory? Are you more kinesthetic? So do you like to see how things are? Maybe if you are visual, then you like to see them all dressed up, or do you like them to show you? Or are you kinesthetic? You like the feel, you want to hold hands, you want to snuggle. I know some people that are not keen on snuggling, but that doesn't mean they don't love you. And then do you need to hear it? So it was really in those moments and expressing how you like it. And if they communicate in a different way, then you need to take the time to communicate in their way to them so that they feel valued. So yeah, that for sure, understanding and stepping back, understand yours, understand theirs, and then come at it. And, I often think if I was dating, it'd be a whole different ballgame. I'd have to get all dolled up and everything, right? And so I do those little things just to, and I agree. I totally know what you're saying about the text messaging, like totally. My husband luckily has gone back to work. There was a time we're here and we do text back and forth. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, thinking of you, right? So yeah, who knew what we did before that? I know, right? Like it's such a quick and simple thing, and it's so impactful to feel valued. And that's really what everyone wants, to feel valued, loved, and appreciated. It doesn't matter if it's just a partnership, with your relationship with your significant other, but every single human being just wants to feel valued, loved, and for who they are. And that's one thing my daughter has taught me.
Great lesson from her.
Yeah, she has taught me a lot about patience, being clear with your instructions or how you talk, with what you mean, and to celebrate the small things, because you can't always just wait for the big things. Yeah. But one other thing that, when Linda was talking, it really brought home to me. So recently I was feeling like, you look on Facebook, you look at everyone's doing this, everyone's doing that, and you kind of get caught up in that. And then what's really been working for me lately, yes, I agree with a lot of things that Linda's doing that I'm doing too, but I actually took out some business from my day, and now I do 2 hours for me. Because if I can't receive for myself, then how can I receive business? How can I receive love from anyone else, or relationship-wise? And since I've done that, like at first I was like, are you crazy when my mentor and coach told me to do this? Because I was like, are you on crack? Like I have a business to run. I have this and this and this. And what I have found since I've done that, and this is now 2 months doing it, is I love my work more.
Of course.
I love my family more. And I love more. Life is just so amazing. And it's funny how we're all in this and we know sometimes what we should do. And that's the problem is what should. And so I'm releasing all shoulds. No more shoulds.
So you are obviously filling your cup every day, 2 hours. I so agree with that. It is, you can only give out when you fill your cup first.
Yeah.
And it was, my role model was my dad for a business, a successful business. And he was married to it. And yet that was what I was modeling, because unconsciously, that's what I thought it was to run a business. Consciously, I knew that. Unconsciously, totally different story. So when I released that and I really started thinking about, okay, this is about me, it was amazing how much more fun life is. And then so much more opportunities have opened up. So many more authentic communications and relationships that I would never have met before, being on social media, connecting on virtual coffee dates from people all over the world. So it has been an amazing gift.
Alison, you bring up a good point of the shoulds. And Ilse, maybe you can explain how you take your clients, especially the women who think they should be doing this, they should be doing that, especially if they have children, on what does that shoulds mean and where does it originate from? So if you can explain that.
When you hear you use words, and I am really listening to the semantics of the people I work with, as well as my own way that I'm talking. When I hear a person is saying, I should, I have to, I must, I ought to, I know that those are the voices from the outside. It can be a parent, a spouse, something that you read in a book, but that is not an own authentic voice. So when you use the word should or have to, that means your voice is not being, you don't even listen to your own voice. You are using the voices from the outside. Yeah. But your own inner voice, when that starts to speak, it will be with the words of I wish to, I love to, I desire to. And when we listen to the way we speak, we get to understand, are we listening to our own voices or are we subordinating to those voices from the outside? Linda, I know that you also have a valuable information to share with us. So I want you to just give your input around the topic of what we've been speaking about, people expecting the other one to change.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. It's a dance. First of all, relationships are a dance. I'm lucky in the sense that I have somebody who really puts me at the forefront all the time. So I've even through all of this, I have been getting the little notes every day, like every single, and I know so many of my friends go, oh, it's just, you know, you know, but here's the thing, you know, I'm one of these lucky people who really can't participate in the negative conversations about our spouses when we want to just vent, because there's very little that I would be able to contribute to that. So I am very lucky. I get the lovely little note every morning, you know, with the heart, coffee's on, and there's a cup there, there's a muffin waiting for me. He's gone downstairs to exercise or something, and I'll see you later. So I'm very lucky there. But again, like Alison, it didn't just happen like that. It takes time and it takes work. When we take a vow, it does say for better or worse, in good times and in bad. Well, you have to address what that means. So first thing is, you know, is what's the goal of your relationship with each other? You know, what's the intention for the two of you? Are you sitting down and actually having a conversation and saying, what is it that you want the relationship to look like and how much time you want to spend together and what you want that time to look like together? Communication is key. It's so key. And I think that the best communication is when you do ask a question to your spouse or your partner, or if you are having a discussion with them, is pose the question or ask the question, or, you know, state your concern, but then stop talking and allow them the space to answer you without the, well, this is how you're making me feel, and it's because of this, and you're not doing this, and you're not doing that, and you're not doing this. Okay, you're not doing all of it. But again, like you said, Ilze, what are you doing to nurture this? It's interesting because I know at one point I was really frustrated at the beginning of our relationship because I was making all the plans to do stuff. And it was just, okay on his end. But I felt like, wait a minute. Do you not think about me and you taking the initiative? And he had said something so profound to me, and I've always kept that in the back of my head. So what really does it matter? Who makes the plan, as long as the other person is receptive to it. If you feel like the other person needs to be valuing you by making the plan, then there's more going on within you than it is about the relationship. So you're going to have to dig a little bit deeper, and then you might need to, you know, look at another area to work on first. Because if how you are feeling and how you're feeling about the relationship, and that the other person is, you know, I'm feeling like this because this person did this, then what is it that's going on really inside of you? Because you're not really understanding yourself in order to get your message across on what you need from them. I also think that it's really important to be kind to each other. So many people today are they lose that over time. They lose that communication, and they lose the kindness with each other. Mm-hmm. In the beginning of our relationships, when we're in the honeymoon phase, it's all lovey-dovey and everybody's so happy and everybody wants to do everything for each other. But as we grow and we get comfortable, I don't know if it's so much complacency that happens as opposed to comfort.
Oh, we lost Linda there for a second.
I think we lost Linda.
There she is.
There she's.
Okay, there I am. So as I was saying, I don't know what the last part you heard was, but I think, it takes a lot of effort. And I think kindness does take effort because we are so busy today when we're not getting our needs met. It's so easy for us to put the blame on somebody else. But we have to learn to do things with kindness. You get the same message across to your person in your relationship with kind words as you can with nasty words. It's just a matter of how you want to deliver the message to them. Do you want to, go in ready and willing to have an argument, or do you want to go in and have a discussion and open up a conversation about what it is that you're looking for? I think that over time, it's not so much that we get complacent, it's that we get so comfortable that we just don't think there's a need, or we just don't think anymore about the need to do something kind for the person. The honeymoon phase sort of slowly fizzles out and we get into this comfort zone. And I liked what Alison had said earlier. And, my husband and I have talked about this because, some relationships, unfortunately, do go down that path where somebody has reached out to somebody else. And I've always had that thought, if you're willing to put that much effort into that relationship or this other part that has come into your relationships, if you could put that much energy in there, why is it that you can't put the energy over here?
So, Linda,
yes.
I'm going to just go to the final point that I would like for us to just communicate about. And I want each one to give what you consider a top tip, a hot tip in making relationships work. And I want to start by saying one of the things that I have learned, that it takes a really big man, it takes a big woman to say, I am sorry, to have an apology conversation, to say, I am sorry. I know when I was speaking like that, I made you feel unimportant. I realize that what I've done was wrong, and I am going to work hard on watching my reactions and how I speak to you. Because the moment we are acknowledging that we do something wrong, we acknowledge the impact on the other person, and we also take the responsibility to say what we're willing to do to change it. That really brings a lot of healing in a relationship. And that is one approach that I really love for couples to apply in their lives. In fact, even a couple of days ago, I used this for the first time with my 2.5-year-old granddaughter. And she was very upset about something that I did something that I didn't realize was upsetting her. And I said to her, Layla, I'm really sorry. I know I've upset you. When I have eaten that biscuit that I thought you finished eating, that was wrong of me. And next time I will remember to ask you. I mean, she cannot even communicate on that level yet, but I saw her look at me and I know what happened to her. In that moment, she had the following feeling. I was there for her. I heard her. I was understanding her, and I cared for her. And that is, for me, a very powerful message that we can give to our loved ones. Apologize when you have done something wrong. Alison, what is a hot tip? Oh, sorry, Linda, you want to go?
That's okay. You can have Alison go first. That's fine.
No, go ahead, Linda. Go ahead.
No,
okay.
go, Linda.
Well, I just, I loved what you said about acknowledging the other person. I think it's really important, especially because people do need to feel valued and validated in what it is that is hurting them, right? So a lot of the, anger comes from hurt. It doesn't come because we're angry. It comes because we have been emotionally hurt. And I think when you can get to the point where you can acknowledge that to the other person, it is huge. Forgiveness is forgiveness. Forgiveness is for you. It's not to abstain them from what somebody else did. It's to say, you know what, I'm going to allow this I need to allow this to go, because I can't, you will just continue to swallow it down and build up the hurt over the hurt over the hurt over time. And before you know it, you've got 40 years of hurt that you haven't let go, and you want, a relationship to work, but you're not willing to let it go completely. So I think that when you've acknowledged it, as you were saying, Ilze, to the other person, number one, it shows them that you've actually been listening and paying attention. And I think that is huge. I also think it's important to go that step further, is that you then don't continue to bring it up. Actions really do speak louder than words. And you can say to somebody and acknowledge that you have hurt them. But if you constantly throw it back in their face, then it just becomes words to that person. And it's like, oh, here they go again. The apologies don't matter if the actions don't follow. So it's important to go further and to start acknowledging what the other person is looking for. And you have to do that through action. You can't, you can say sorry all you want, and I think it's important to do so. But if you're only using the words to get the forgiveness from the other person and you don't change your behavior around it, I think it just becomes a spiral thing. So I think it has to be 3 steps. You have to acknowledge it, you have to say the words, but you need to follow up with action on it and not do what you have been doing to hurt them going forward.
100%, yes.
Yeah,
So,
that's extremely valid. And I want everyone to remember one important thing. We're all human. We make mistakes, and acknowledging it. And I think that was such a beautiful story, because I did that with my kids as well. Because, you do get triggered for whatever it is. And then to acknowledge it, come back and say, hey, I didn't handle that the greatest. And, I apologize for how that may have made you feel. And next time, and we talk about what was really happening. So there's a discussion that happens. Yeah. But one thing that I really want people to think about is having fun, laughter. Because when you're coming from a place of having fun, and my husband makes me laugh every single day, 30 years, every day, he has made me laugh. There's always something. And you can't not be happy. You can't be angry. You can't be sad when you're in that place of laughter. And when you're in that place of really feeling great, because I've taken care for me, I'm that mom or wife that's dancing and singing all over the place. And that gets carried throughout the house. Now, during these times of COVID, and I have older kids, and my son's doing first year university at home. And there's times where you're like, oh my God, I just want my own space. Like, I just go away. But when we get together and we're laughter, then it takes all that stuff that may have been bothering you and really shifting it. So I actually really take the effort to have fun and laugh and interact and have that playful, childlike side come through, because then life is more fun. And it's all about being valued and being heard. And all of the components that everyone has shared here is elements of that. But it does start here. And when you do, it radiates out.
Ilse, I have a question for you, because you're talking about saying I'm sorry and forgiveness and acknowledging. There are, when you're especially working with couples, there's always one person that wants to dig their heels in and stay, saying, no, it was definitely not like that. And they're very adamant, and they can't soften up and find the way to say, I'm sorry. What is your process for taking people through and or the questions you ask of that person that's so stuck in their way and so stubborn, in getting them to see the other side?
That is a different thing, to see the other side. I don't want people to say, I'm sorry. Sorry is very easily a platitude. I want them to apologize. Apologize means I am owning up. But you're talking about something different here, Celia, and that is the ability for us to own what we do, to own those traits that we think that we don't own, to see that, to see yourself in the mirror, and to know that every relationship you co-create. If there's conflict, it takes two to tango. If there's happiness, it takes two to tango. The one who is stubborn and who only wants to transfer all the blame to the other person wants to walk away and say, it's her fault, it's not my fault, she's making me do that. When I sit with a couple like that, I very quickly make sure that I book a one-on-one session with that person to help that person to change their perceptions around themselves. Because that is, in fact, a bit of an arrogance, a bit of a self-righteousness to say, I'm so right, the other party is so wrong. And I know 100%, I'm so certain of that. It takes two to tango. And there cannot be a relationship with two 50% equal partners. And the mess that we get in and the bliss that we get in is because we learn to either do that tango beautifully or to trip each other up all the time.
Yeah. You know, when I'm working with somebody who has that really stubborn feature about themselves and they don't want to let go of it, one of the questions that I always ask them, which for my experience so far has sort of stopped them in their place to take a step back and think, is, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Yeah.
It's true. That's why I say this. Do you want to be happy?
Right? So if you're here for a reason because you don't want this conflict, well, you can't hang on to this. So you get to be right or you get to work at being happy. Which is it that you want to be? Because one's going to take you in one direction and the other one's going to take you in the other. So something's got to give. Which is it going to be? You make the choice. Then it's sort of in the face and they have to really take that breath and say, "Ooh, okay, I get it." But it's got to be somebody who's pretty stubborn before you can go down that road.
Yeah. I am going to just recap here. We have now spoken about having fun in relationships, apologizing, taking the step, owning up to what we to the success of our relationships, taking the actions, believing in ourselves, taking care of ourselves. It was a mouthful, and there's a lot to ponder about. And I must say that you have also reminded me of certain things I want to go and rekindle again in myself and in my relationships. And I know that people that's going to listen to this are going to take golden nuggets out of this. So I want to end our time together, and I want to ask each one to just give one golden nugget that you would love to leave with the people listening.
One golden nugget. That is awesome. So one nugget is, when we love ourselves, it really allows and respect and value ourselves. It really does radiate out, and it sets the standards of what you will allow in your relationship and what you won't allow. And that is really at the point of where true happiness and love and joy comes from.
Thank you.
So
Linda.
for me, I would say, you know, whether you are a person of faith or not of faith, there is one scripture that I always remind myself of when I'm struggling in a relationship, because, you know, even doing what we do, we're still human, as Alison said. So you don't have to be a person of faith to understand and allow the words of this scripture to resonate with you. And it's 1 Corinthians 13, 4 and 5. And it just says, and you've probably, many of you have heard it because it's often read in weddings. But I think this particular scripture also works for whether it's relationship for yourself, relationship with your children, relationship with your parents, relationship with your spouse, because relationships, again, are two. It takes two people to have a relationship except for just yourself, but you're usually with another person. So it is, love is patient and kind. Love is not boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It's not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wrong. And I think if you can just follow those principles in that one statement, I think that you can achieve very healthy relationships.
Thank you, Linda. And I will leave my gold nugget that the biggest gift you can give yourself and the biggest gift you can give those people that you're in a relationship with is your personal development and your own personal growth. So with that, I thank you, ladies, for really an awesome time together. I know we can go on for hours about this, but let's leave all the wisdom that we shared, and we will get together at some stage again and take this conversation to another level. So
before you end, here's my golden nugget. Go find yourself a mentor. And,
yes.
and the reason why we have these panel discussions and we have these mentor spotlights is so people can see the quality of mentors we have, and everybody's different and they'll resonate with one mentor over another, and you can hear a variety of different answers. And so I think you ladies did such a fantastic job, and thank you very much, Ilze, for moderating this. I feel like I'm on a television show because you just look like a television presenter. Well, because you are.
Exactly.
But yeah, find yourself a mentor, because they can help you understand why, well, self-care, that was the first thing we talked about. If you don't understand yourself, you don't know how to care for yourself. So I think your personal development and your golden nugget, Ilze, is spot on, is figure out who you are and what's important to you.
So thank you, ladies. Until next time.
Thank you, everybody. Great to see you.
Thank you.